Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you've been following our solo leveling What If saga, you already know what happened in part 1. The rulers betrayed the monarchs, worlds collided, and Jin-Woo made the ultimate sacrifice to restore balance between light and shadow. But peace never lasts forever. In this next chapter of our story, years have passed since Jin-Woo vanished into the void. Humanity believes the age of hunters is over. The gates are closed, the monarchs are gone, and the world sleeps under a fragile peace. Until tonight. A new darkness is stirring, one that doesn't belong to light or shadow. Something born from silence itself. And when the sky begins to break once more, only one name echoes through the void. Jin-Woo. The Shadow Monarch will return. And the world will remember what true power feels like. So sit back, turn up the volume, and let's dive straight into part 2, the return of the Unbound King. Years passed. The memory of the monarchs faded into history, a story told in textbooks and documentaries, half believed by the new generation. The Hunter Association was now more symbolic than necessary. Gates had been gone for 5 years. Mana still existed, but it flowed gently through the world, nourishing life instead of threatening it. Seoul had become peaceful again. Children played where battlefields once stood. The scars of war had become monuments of resilience. But deep beneath that peace, something was stirring. It began as whispers inside dormant artifacts, old hunter weapons sealed in vaults. Their cores vibrated faintly, like they were responding to something unseen. In one of those vaults, a sword once carried by Jae-min began to hum. The runes along its edge flickered between black and white. He sensed it instantly and came running, his heart pounding. When he picked up the weapon, a familiar coldness touched his fingers. A voice, faint but distinct, brushed his thoughts. "Do you still guard them, old friend?" Jae-min froze. "No way, Jin-Woo." The vault lights flickered, then steadied. The voice was gone. But the sword, his sword, now bore a faint symbol glowing across its blade, the mark of the Shadow Monarch. He stepped back, trembling. It can't be. He became balance. He can't come back. But somewhere deep down, he already knew, something had changed. Far from Earth, in the unseen dimension that lay between light and shadow, Jin-Woo opened his eyes. The endless horizon that once pulsed with calm neutrality was wrong. The stillness had cracks. Light and darkness that once intertwined harmoniously now rippled with tension, pushing against one another. He stood slowly, feeling the tremor beneath his feet. "So it's begun again." A soft voice answered from behind him. "You shouldn't have stayed dormant for this long." He turned. The brightest ruler was there again, her wings faint, her form flickering. She looked weary, as though she had been fighting a battle across existence itself. Jin-Woo frowned. "What happened?" "The worlds are converging," she said quietly. "Your balance was perfect, for a time. But life always seeks conflict. Something new was born in the mortal realm. Something that doesn't belong to either side." Jin-Woo's eyes narrowed. "A new entity." She nodded slowly. "They call it the Veil. It devours light and erases shadow. It isn't creation or destruction, it's absence." He stepped forward. "You mean, it erases existence itself?" "Yes. Entire realities are vanishing. And it's spreading toward Earth." Jin-Woo stared into the horizon, the faint shimmer of countless worlds fading in sequence. Then peace was never meant to last. The ruler's tone turned almost pleading. "You can stop it, but only if you return. The equilibrium you created binds the worlds, but now it's decaying without your will to stabilize it." He stayed silent for a long time, his gaze distant. "If I go back, I break balance again. Everything I sacrificed, gone." She stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Then watch everything you protected vanish instead." The silence that followed was heavier than any battlefield. Finally, Jin-Woo spoke softly. "Then I'll go." It began with the sky. On a calm night over Seoul, the moon darkened, not eclipsed, but absorbed. The stars flickered, one by one, as though something unseen was swallowing their light. Min Seo was the first to sense it. She was teaching new recruits at the Hunter Academy when every mana detector in the building exploded in unison. Her eyes widened. That's impossible, there are no active gates left. Then came the vibration, a low hum that rattled every window and made the air itself shimmer. The sky split. But instead of the familiar glow of a gate, what appeared was a void, a sphere of nothingness that reflected no light, radiated no energy, and yet devoured everything around it. Students screamed as the clouds themselves were drawn inward, vanishing without trace. Beru appeared beside Min Seo in an instant, wings spread wide. The world trembles again, my lady. This is not a gate. It is hunger given form. Min Seo clenched her fists. Jin-Woo, where are you? In the void between worlds, Jin-Woo was already crossing the threshold. The process was different now, heavier, slower. The balance resisted his movement, as if warning him that returning meant unraveling everything he had built. He whispered to the horizon, "Forgive me," and stepped through. For the first time in years, his foot touched earth. The air hit him like a memory, heavy with mana, scent of rain, heartbeat of the world beneath his feet. He stood in the center of Seoul, cloaked in flickering shadows and light, his aura restrained but infinite. People froze as time itself seemed to stop. For a moment, everything fell silent. Then, as he opened his eyes, the world exhaled, and the void in the sky trembled, as if recognizing its master's presence. Jae-min and Min Seo arrived seconds later, disbelief written across their faces. Jin-Woo, Jae-min whispered. You came back. He looked at them, expression calm but sorrowful. I had no choice. Balance is breaking. Beru knelt immediately, his wings folding. My king, the shadows rejoice. Jin-Woo turned his gaze upward to the devouring sphere in the sky. Don't rejoice yet. That thing isn't a gate. It's the end of meaning itself. The sphere pulsed, and a ripple spread across the sky. From its center, faint shapes began to form, twisted silhouettes of beings that weren't light, weren't shadow, but emptiness given flesh. Jin-Woo drew his blade. It's time the world remembered its king. The void above Seoul expanded. It wasn't merely growing, it was consuming. Buildings, clouds, even sound itself began to fade into silence where its influence reached. Every instrument on Earth failed to measure it. Scientists called it an anti-phenomenon. Hunters recognized it for what it truly was, a threat greater than any gate or monarch had ever been. And Sung Jin-Woo stood beneath it, his expression unreadable. Jae-min asked quietly, King, what is that thing? Jin-Woo replied, it's a wound. One left behind when I bound light and shadow together. Now, the world bleeds from that scar. He raised his right hand. Shadows stirred across the city, like waves rippling from an unseen tide. Dozens of familiar figures emerged, the shadows of Igris, Tank, Tusk, Iron, and countless others, all kneeling before him in perfect unison. Beru hissed, Command us, my king. Let us tear this emptiness apart. Jin-Woo shook his head. No. This enemy has no life to take. It isn't living, it's the rejection of existence itself. Above them, the veil pulsed again, a wave of silence rolled outward, and the colors of the world dimmed. The blue of the sky dulled, the green of the earth faded. Jin-Woo clenched his fist. It's feeding on mana. Min Seo stepped forward, her aura flaring. Then I'll draw it out. If it wants mana, it can take mine. But before she could act, Jin-Woo's shadow moved on its own, pulling her back with a tendril of darkness. He said calmly, no sacrifices. Not yet. Then he closed his eyes. His consciousness reached out, not just to his shadows, but to the very fabric of the world. For the first time in years, he used the full authority of the Shadow Monarch. Black mist spread through every corner of the city, forming a vast network of energy beneath reality itself. The air trembled, and every creature, human, beast, insect, felt their hearts skip a beat. In that instant, Jin-Woo was everywhere. And he saw it, the truth behind the veil. It wasn't random. It had intention. At its core, something moved, a shape, humanoid but fragmented, its face a mirror of nothingness. And when it spoke, the sound was like whispers from inside a collapsing dream. Balance is a lie. All things end in silence. Jin-Woo opened his eyes slowly, whispering to himself, so it speaks. The ground trembled as the entity's voice rippled through the dimensions. Reality began to peel, edges of buildings folding like paper. He took a deep breath, lifting his blade. If you truly are nothing, then I'll show you what it means to face everything. He slashed. A beam of black and white mana spiraled upward, colliding with the void. For a second, it worked, the veil rippled, destabilized. But then, it retaliated. The silence roared. A blast of absence hit the city, erasing a 10-block radius of matter into pure blankness. Where there had been buildings, there was now only smooth white emptiness. Jae-min shouted, he erased it all. There's nothing left. Jin-Woo said grimly, it doesn't destroy. It rewrites. It's rewriting reality into zero. He looked around, then turned to Beru. Gather every shadow. Form the perimeter. Nothing passes through. Yes, my king. Beru screeched, spreading his wings, unleashing a wave of shadow soldiers that surrounded the area. Jin-Woo looked up again. The void pulsed rhythmically, as if watching him. And then, it changed shape. A hand reached down. Massive, pale, formless, fingers made of light and darkness folded into one. It extended toward him like an invitation. He didn't flinch. Instead, he pointed his blade upward and said softly, if you want to touch this world, you'll have to go through me. The sky split open again. A blinding explosion followed, black, white, and violet light clashing in the heavens. Winds tore across Seoul. Every building vibrated as if reality itself was being rewritten and rewritten again. And in the center of it all, Jin-Woo stood firm, his silhouette framed against the storm, eyes glowing with the fusion of two forces that were never meant to coexist. He whispered, almost to himself, I am the Shadow Monarch. I am also the balance. If silence seeks to end the world, I will become its voice. He launched upward. The battlefield was now the sky itself. As Jin-Woo clashed with the veil, every impact shattered the air. Energy storms spread across the globe. Mountains cracked, oceans shifted, the atmosphere itself distorted. But the veil didn't fight like a creature. It absorbed every blow, learned, adapted. Every strike Jin-Woo landed, it grew faster. Every fragment of mana he unleashed, it consumed and grew larger. So, you feed on balance too, he murmured. Then he smirked faintly. Then you'll starve. He summoned every shadow in existence, not just those on Earth. Across countless realms, his legion answered. Millions of eyes opened in the dark void, their allegiance unquestionable. Rise, he commanded, his voice echoing across dimensions. And they did. Shadows rose from forgotten worlds, from old battlefields, from the depths of the abyss. The veil recoiled, sensing the infinite surge of mana gathering around him. Jin-Woo raised his hand, channeling every ounce of his dominion. You consume. I command. Let's see which endures. He struck again. This time, the very air screamed. The blow split the void open, revealing a glimpse of something beyond, a place with no stars, no ground, only endless white. He saw inside it, countless frozen versions of worlds that had been consumed. Earths, realms, universes, all trapped in stillness, stripped of time and life. He whispered, you, erase possibility. The entity within the veil spoke once more, its voice a chorus of every silence ever spoken. All noise leads to pain. All existence leads to decay. End is mercy. Jin-Woo's eyes hardened. Then I'll fight mercy with defiance. He drew upon the light within him, the ruler's radiance that he had long suppressed. For a moment, His entire body glowed with divine energy, mingled with his shadow essence. The fusion made him tremble, but he endured it. Beru screamed from below, "My king! You cannot sustain both powers." Jin-Woo replied, "If this world exists because I united them, then I'll end this by embracing both." He soared forward, cutting through the heart of the void. The entity screamed, a soundless shriek that made the world itself flicker. But this time, Jin-Woo didn't stop. He pushed deeper, channeling his existence itself into his blade. Each word that left his lips resonated through every living being. "I fought gods. I fought death. I fought destiny. You're no different." And with one final motion, he thrust his sword through the heart of the void. Light erupted. Darkness surged. And for a single, breathtaking moment, silence shattered. The light faded. The wind stilled. And the world stopped breathing. For a moment, everything was white. Not bright, not burning, just endless white. Jin-Woo opened his eyes. He was standing, but there was no ground beneath his feet, only rippling reflections of the world that once was. Buildings floated as mirages, trees turned to pale shadows, and the sky hung motionless, suspended in endless dawn. He looked around slowly. "Did I win?" His voice echoed back to him, distant and hollow. A faint sound broke the silence, the rustle of footsteps. He turned, his hand instinctively tightening around his blade. From the haze, a figure emerged, young, wearing a dark coat that fluttered without wind. His face was strangely familiar. Jin-Woo asked quietly, "Who are you?" The boy smiled faintly. "A question even you don't know the answer to, huh? I suppose I'm what's left of you." Jin-Woo's brow furrowed. "A shadow." The boy shook his head. "Not exactly. When you united light and dark, you created me, a fragment that wasn't either. The one you abandoned when you became balance." The realization struck like lightning. "The veil," Jin-Woo whispered. "It wasn't born from outside. It came from the piece of me that never belonged." The boy's eyes glowed faintly, neither black nor gold, but a dull gray that seemed to absorb color. "When you erased conflict, you erased purpose. The world without struggle is hollow. I became that hollowness, the veil given form." Jin-Woo's hand trembled. "Then I destroyed myself." The boy smiled, a sorrowful, almost human expression. "Maybe not destroyed. Maybe, completed. You created me so balance could exist. And now, I'm here because balance no longer can." The space around them rippled again. The world below, soul, mountains, oceans, appeared and vanished like waves of memory. Jin-Woo asked, "Why are you showing me this?" "Because," the boy said softly, "the world is resetting. Every choice, every battle, every life, it's all cycling back to zero. You can stop it, but only by choosing what must remain." Jin-Woo's eyes narrowed. "You're asking me to rewrite reality." "Exactly. You're the last consciousness left between existence and nothing." He fell silent. The weight of the universe pressed against his shoulders again, heavier than any throne, sharper than any blade. He stood in the center of the pale world for what felt like eternity. The white expanse stretched endlessly, neither warm nor cold, only still. Images flickered before him, his mother smiling, Jinna laughing, Igris kneeling, Beru screeching in loyalty, the hunters who had once fought beside him. Every memory formed like shards of glass suspended in air. The boy, his other self, watched quietly. "The world can't hold both of us. Either you stay, and everything resets cleanly, or you let me fade, and risk chaos returning." Jin-Woo exhaled slowly. "You mean, either I die as the last piece of balance, or live and shatter it again." The boy nodded. "There's no perfect ending, Jin-Woo. You taught the world how to survive. Now you have to decide what it should become." Silence stretched. Then, Jin-Woo sheathed his blade. He turned toward the flickering fragments of soul, his city, his people, his world. "I never fought for perfection," he said quietly. "I fought so people could choose." He looked back at the boy. "You said you're the part of me I left behind. Then come with me. Let's stop pretending we're separate. The boy's eyes widened. You'd merge with the void. You'd risk becoming nothing again. Jin-Woo smiled faintly. I was nothing once before. The difference now is, I have something worth being nothing for. He stepped forward, pressing his hand against the boy's chest. The world rippled violently. The boy shouted, if you do this, you'll lose your balance. You'll. I know. Jin-Woo's voice was calm. But maybe the world doesn't need balance anymore. Maybe it just needs a choice. Light and darkness collided once more, not in battle, but in union. The two forms merged, spinning together into a pillar of shadowed light that pierced the horizon. The void cracked. Reality began to breathe again. When the light faded, soul was whole again. The streets, the people, the skies, all returned, untouched by ruin. But something felt different. The air shimmered faintly with traces of mana, yet it was warm, not threatening. Hunters who had lost their powers found them renewed, not as weapons, but as gifts to heal, to grow, to protect. Jae-min stood atop the association building, staring at the skyline. He did it, again. Min Seo beside him whispered, do you think he's still out there? Before he could answer, a gentle breeze swept across the city, faint, carrying a shadow within it. For a brief moment, everyone who had ever known Jin-Woo felt something in their chest, a familiar presence, calm and steady. Beru looked to the horizon. My king. Igris bowed silently beside him. From the clouds above, a faint silhouette appeared, not fully formed, not bound to reality. A figure cloaked in black and gold light, watching over the world he had rebuilt twice. He said nothing. He didn't need to. Because the people already knew, the Shadow Monarch had become something beyond life, beyond death, beyond balance. He had become the will of the world itself. As the dawn broke across the horizon, light and shadow danced together one last time. And somewhere, faintly, his voice whispered through the wind. Protect each other. That's all I ever wanted. Years later, children would tell stories of the Dark King who brought peace. Scholars would debate if he truly existed. But those who had fought beside him, those who had felt his presence, would smile and say nothing. Because they knew. He wasn't gone. He was everywhere. In every heartbeat. In every sunrise. In every shadow that refused to fade. And so ends part 2 of What If the Rulers Betrayed the Monarchs? The saga of a man who defied gods, fate, and even himself to give the world a choice. The Shadow Monarch's throne may be gone. But his legacy will never fade. If you felt Jin-Woo's journey, his struggle, his sacrifice, his rebirth, then show your support by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Because in every world, every light, every shadow, a story like this is waiting to be told again.